Hi, I'm Lisette Jacobson, host of the Black, Brown, and Bilingue podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology and instructional coach from my district.
And I'm her producer and husband, Fuzz Martin. I've got a fever, and the only cure is more podcasts.
Wow. So creative.
It's a Curipod. Quick chat.
It's a quick chat.
Yes. So what are we talking about today there, Miss Shanna?
Well,
Mrs. Martin.
That is me. We have a quick chat this week about Curipod, which is a super cool tool that you can use in any content area. For school. Oh, yeah. You could have rhymed that a little better.
You could have. That's okay.
So, Curipod. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this platform. What's cool about Curipod?
I'm very curious to know.
Oh, you're just full of funness today. Curipod is a platform that allows teachers to put all of their information into a lesson.
Okay.
And then it curates a slide deck that is full of content and interaction for students, like engagement for students. So the best way to explain this, and then I'll kind of walk you through the steps of how to do it. It's kind of like you got your standards, you've got a pair deck.
Yep.
You've got video and audio and interactive slides all smashed together.
Okay.
Just smashing.
It's like a smash burger. Squish.
It's like app smashing.
Okay.
All together. And then you give your kids a code and they can then interact with the lesson while you're teaching it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. Basically, you sign up for your little free Curipod account and then you can create lessons. And to create a lesson, you can pick a blank lesson, full lesson. They've got check-ins. They have feedback. You can create exit tickets. You can create brain breaks. You can create actual discussion questions for your students. So you create a lesson. Then it says, hey, what is your content for your lesson? So let's talk about something cool. We will talk about the Cold War because I teach social studies. So once you pick your topic, you choose your grade level. So you have a little account. It walks you right through these steps. Choose your grade level. Then you can choose your standards. So you can drag and drop your Common Core standards, your state standards, whatever you base your lessons from, drop your standards in. And then once you do that, you click Do Magic. And it says generating lesson. Guess what, folks? It uses AI to help you teach.
Don't tell anybody.
This is great. So then it will create a lesson based on the standards you choose, the information that you want, in whatever format, topic, and everything you want. You load that information in. And then it gives you cool little backgrounds that also match your topic. So I just created a Cold War deck. I did not drop standards in, just so you know. It made me 9 slides and it gives content. A few words explain what you think. So that makes you give your students the pin. Mm-hmm. And then first slide is almost like a word wall. It creates all this information that your kids is creating. Then slide 2, it pulls information from online. The Cold War is a period of political and military tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. It gives you, I've got a background slide. And then I've got concepts that happened and occurred during the Cold War. Then there's a poll put in there. What do you think the most significant event was during the Cold War? Students can drag and drop their information. Makes a little poll. So Cuban Missile Crisis, Vietnam War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, or the signing of the START Treaty. So they can choose, and then students can interact with the lesson. So while you're teaching, the kids have the code to be interacting with what you're teaching them.
Sure.
And then you can start a class discussion on it. My next slide is a did you know? There's fun facts about it. Next slide, it's interactive. What were major events? And here they drag and drop and select images. They drop those in. Then, how did the Cold War shape the current world? Again, students get to drag and drop images and interact with the information they want to. The 8th slide, what do you think caused the Cold War? And then the last slide they dropped in there for me, how did the Cold War shape your understanding of the world? Cool. Several things it warns you of. So all of my slides have been created for me in literally under a minute because I did it while we were talking. All of the images are relevant to the topic you're talking about. And then it also sets up things where like you can choose, and on like the right-hand side, you can make all the edits that you want to. So how long do you want to be able to sit on a slide? Because you can just present and it will do it automatically. How many entries can a participant have? So if you want your students only to be able to enter once, they only can. Mm-hmm. You can change the titles of voting. You can change the vote duration. You can change how you want to see results. You can change and edit all the backgrounds. You can apply that to all of them. And then you can add your own slides, your own PDFs, your own PowerPoint information, and you can go through and edit them. It also gives you this warning ahead of time, like, hey, double check this content to make sure it's appropriate for your students and make sure that's relevant to what you want to talk about. So they do warn you, like, it's creating information, but you, as a teacher, I would hope would proofread what you're doing and check to make sure it's the content you want students to do. This lesson, you can change them in English or Norwegian is my other option. You can.
I wasn't expecting you to say Norwegian. I was thinking you were going to say Spanish.
All right. Nope. And then when you're creating your Curipods, you can choose, if you choose public sharing, you can have as many slide decks as you want. But if you want to keep them private, then you only get 5 in the free version. So that's just something to be aware of. You also have unlimited amount of students in the free version. So that's really cool because you can use it for all your classes and you don't max out, which is awesome because that's always the biggest thing.
Does each class get a different pin?
So you can do it different ways. Like I could just give every class I teach that day the pin, and they would see what other people are answering. So you could just use the same pin per class.
Yep.
Or you could like swap out the slides between classes if you want to and still use the same pin.
Yep.
And then you switch out what you want it to look like. So you can make those choices or edits as a teacher as you want to. And then you can share them as templates and you have the options to copy the link and drop it anywhere that you'd want to. So you can do that. You can change cover photos, titles, all of that kind of stuff. So there's all this like interaction in a fast lesson, or like I said, like an exit ticket, this would be fabulous for, or if you need a slide deck created for like sub plans.
Yeah.
Or like a quick, like I need a discussion starter for my students that they're engaged. We're in 4th quarter.
Mm-hmm.
We're losing it a little bit, especially as the weather gets nice. I mean, you just do. And this would be a great way to get your students back in it a little bit. Like, yeah, there's slides, there's discussion, there'll be a slide deck, but also you can interact with it. And it's different than Pear Deck because Curipod does the creation part for you. So you're not spending all of the time. There's a time and place, I think, for both. Like Pear Deck, for sure, you're taking your time to put together an interactive lesson. There's so many like resources with Pear Deck, but Curipod also kind of will just create the content you need, put it together for you, and then you have that option.
That's pretty sweet.
It is very cool. So with that, you can also play on like Chromebooks, or they can play anywhere you can enter the pin. So on phones or on iPads, they can also interact that way. And then you have everything created for you. The other cool thing about Curipod is when you are home, you have your own Curipod decks that are created.
Yep.
You can also click the Discover button. And in Discover, it's lots of other resources from other educators.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of mindfulness lessons. There's a lot of lessons. They have math pre-done lessons. And they're done by other teachers. So if you find the content you're looking for, like this one's linear and nonlinear functions, they have a whole like deck and question set up for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can discover different lessons from other teachers. So there's just a lot of resources there for you of these lessons that are pre-created. And it's kind of cool. It's a neat way to interact with your students and keep them engaged and also save you time, which is really a big deal. Especially now when everyone just needs more time and there's never enough time in your day.
Exactly.
So there you go.
Well, good find, Shanna.
Yeah, it's a quick little chat about Curipod. So go check it out. If you create something cool, I'd love to see it. There's some cool science ones I found in there, and then you can drop videos in there too, so you can see like little plants growing, and then ask your students about life cycles of plants and all kinds of cool stuff. So, Curipod, check it out. It's pretty nifty.
Be curious. I already used that pun.
Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter @SmartNWI. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, you can visit smartnwi.com. If you'd like to support the show, please consider buying me a coffee or two. Visit buymeacoffee.com/smartnwi or visit smartnwi.com and click on that cute little purple coffee cup. Your donations help keep this show going. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do.